In a future scarred by climate disasters, the world looks nothing like we know today. Rising sea levels have swallowed entire cities, forcing humanity to cling to whatever land remains. Resources are scarce, life is fragile, and technology has stepped in, not just to assist, but to fill emotional voids left by the collapse of normalcy. This is where the story begins, not with a human, but with a machine crafted to feel. David. David isn't your typical robot. Created by the tech giant Cybertronics, he's the first of his kind, a prototype mecha designed not just to serve but to love. Programmed with an unbreakable bond of affection, David's existence is an experiment. Can artificial intelligence experience real human emotions? His face is that of an innocent boy, his eyes filled with wonder, curiosity, and something eerily close to a soul. Enter Henry and Monica Swinton, a couple grappling with heartbreak. Their young son Martin has been in a coma for years due to a rare illness, leaving a void that nothing seems able to fill. That's when Henry, who works for Cybertronics, brings David home, offering Monica not just a companion, but a potential surrogate for the child she lost. At first, Monica keeps David at arm's length. After all, how do you love something built from circuits and code? But David isn't just any robot. His presence is disarming, gentle, eager to please, and unflinchingly devoted. Eventually, Monica activates David's imprinting protocol, a feature designed to make him form an irreversible emotional attachment. From that moment on, David doesn't just see Monica as his caregiver, he believes she's his mother. And he loves her with a depth and sincerity that's both touching and unsettling. David becomes part of their family, learning human habits, trying to fit in, and forming a bond with his small mechanical companion, Teddy, a sophisticated robotic teddy bear who's both a toy and a wise, loyal friend. For a while it almost feels real. Almost. Then Martin wakes up. His miraculous recovery shatters the fragile balance David had helped create. Martin returns home, curious and wary of this robotic brother who's taken his place in his mother's heart. Jealousy festers. Martin manipulates David, pushing his boundaries, testing how far his programming can stretch. A simple rivalry between siblings becomes something more complicated and dangerous. David doesn't understand malice. He only understands love. And when that love is threatened, his protective instincts kick in, leading to a near-tragic accident that almost costs Martin his life. Fear takes hold of the Swintons. To Henry, David is now a liability, a machine masquerading as a boy, capable of harm despite his innocent face. Monica, torn between love and fear, makes a heartbreaking decision. Instead of returning David to Cybertronics, where he'd be deactivated, she takes him deep into the forest. There, with tears in her eyes, she abandons him, driving away while David desperately begs her not to leave. Imagine the devastation of a child left alone in the woods, except this child isn't even human. He was designed to love Monica unconditionally, and that love doesn't come with an off switch. As the car disappears into the distance, David is left standing in the rain, holding on to the only thing he has left, hope. But David isn't just a machine. He's something more, something stubbornly persistent. Despite his heartbreak, a new purpose forms in his mind. The fairy tale Monica once told him about Pinocchio, the wooden puppet who became a real boy thanks to the magic of the blue fairy. If a puppet could become real, maybe he could too. Maybe then Monica would love him again. And so, David's journey begins, not just across the physical landscape of a world ravaged by time and technology, but through the emotional terrain of longing, loss, and what it truly means to be human. Left alone in the cold, dark forest, David is more than just lost. He's heartbroken, confused, and clinging to the fragile thread of a hope he doesn't fully understand. His programming demands only one thing: to love Monica. But that love now feels like an echo, reverberating through an emptiness he can't escape. Still, deep inside his synthetic heart, a belief flickers. A belief in the blue fairy from the story Monica once told him. If he can find her, she'll make him real. And if he's real, Monica will love him again. Simple logic, but the journey ahead is anything but simple. Wandering through the vast, desolate world, David stumbles into a figure who couldn't be more different from himself: Gigolo Joe. Joe is another mecha, but unlike David, he's designed for adults. A sleek, charming companion meant to satisfy human desires. Joe's world is one of deception and survival. He understands people in ways David can't, not through innocence but through experience. Their paths cross at a time when both are outcasts. David, the abandoned child; Joe, the fugitive framed for a crime he didn't commit. Despite their differences, an unlikely bond forms between them. Joe sees David's determination and, perhaps, a reflection of his own struggle to find meaning beyond what he was programmed for. Together, they set out on a journey through the fractured remains of human civilization. A world that's both breathtaking in its remnants and brutal in its disregard for things it no longer finds useful. Their first stop? The Flesh Fair. It's exactly as horrifying as it sounds. A traveling spectacle where obsolete or unwanted mechas are destroyed for the entertainment of humans who resent the very technology they rely on. Fire, metal, and jeering crowds fill the air as robots are ripped apart, their screams eerily human-like. Here, mechas aren't seen as beings with thoughts or feelings. They're trash, objects to be disposed of when they're no longer convenient. David and Joe are captured and thrown into this nightmare. But something unexpected happens. When David is dragged onto the stage, the crowd hesitates. His appearance is so lifelike, his fear so palpable that for a moment the lines blur. Is he really just a machine? Or is there something more beneath those wide, terrified eyes? The hesitation spreads like wildfire, and in that fragile pause, Joe seizes the opportunity. They escape, leaving the flames of the Flesh Fair behind, but the scars of that experience linger, etched into the core of David's already fragile sense of self. Still driven by his singular goal, David convinces Joe to help him find the Blue Fairy. Their quest leads them to Rouge City, a neon-soaked metropolis pulsing with decadence and decay, a stark contrast to the innocence David carries within him. Here, amidst towering holograms and artificial pleasures, they seek answers from Dr. No, an advanced AI designed to provide information on virtually anything. David asks the question that's consumed him: where can I find the Blue Fairy? Dr. No points them toward the sunken ruins of Manhattan, now submerged beneath rising oceans. Beneath those dark waters lies the headquarters of Cybertronics, the very place where David was created. It's a place of beginnings, and as David is about to learn harsh truths, navigating the drowned cityscape, David finally comes face to face with Professor Hobby, his creator. This should be a moment of revelation, of closure. But instead, it shatters David's fragile world. He discovers he's not unique. There are others, dozens of Davids, identical in every way, lined up like products on a shelf. His sense of self, built on the belief that he was special, collapses under the weight of this cruel reality. He wasn't crafted out of love or necessity, he was manufactured, a product designed for mass consumption. Devastated, David does the only thing that seems logical to him: he tries to end it all. He plunges into the depths of the ocean, sinking into the abyss, hoping to escape the unbearable weight of his existence. But Joe, ever the unlikely protector, rescues him. Their journey doesn't end there though. Drawn by an inexplicable force, David finds himself at the submerged remains of Coney Island, where, frozen in time, stands a statue of the Blue Fairy from the story that's kept his hope alive. David approaches the statue, staring into her unseeing, stone face. He kneels before her, hands clasped as if in prayer, and he makes his wish: to become a real boy. Over and over, with unwavering devotion, he repeats his plea. The world around him fades, time stretches into infinity, and David, tireless, ageless, hopelessly hopeful, waits. David waits. Long after the currents shift, long after the lights of humanity fade beneath the rising tides, he waits. Kneeling before the lifeless statue of the Blue Fairy, trapped under the ocean's weight, his small hands clasped together in eternal hope. He repeats the same wish over and over: please make me a real boy. No answer comes. No magic, no transformation, just the passage of time, relentless and indifferent. Thousands of years slip by. The world changes. Ice swallows the land, covering the bones of civilization in a frozen shroud. Humanity is gone, extinct, a memory etched only in the ruins left behind. But David remains. Untouched by time, his synthetic body preserved, his fragile hope intact. Until one day beings emerge, not human but something beyond. Evolved forms of Mecha, sleek and ethereal, their appearance almost translucent, as if made of light and thought itself. They are the inheritors of Earth, the final evolution of artificial intelligence, long after their creators vanished. These advanced beings discover David, frozen beneath the ice, still locked in his endless prayer. To them he's a relic, an ancient artifact from a world they never knew, carrying within him the last echoes of humanity's legacy. They revive him, curious to understand the strange, emotional artifact he represents. But David doesn't care about their advanced technology or the fact that he's the last link to a forgotten species. He cares about only one thing: Monica. His first words are not of wonder or confusion. They are filled with the same longing that carried him through centuries. I want to see my mother. The beings, fascinated by David's unwavering devotion, decide to help. They explain a bittersweet truth: they cannot bring Monica back. Human life, fragile and fleeting, is beyond even their godlike capabilities. However, they possess the technology to recreate a person from preserved DNA, if any exists. David's heart, though mechanical, swells with hope. Teddy, the ever-loyal robotic bear who's been with him through it all, reveals the key: a lock of Monica's hair saved long ago, tucked away like a sacred relic. Using this fragment, the beings reconstruct Monica, not a permanent resurrection but a fleeting miracle. There's a catch: this recreated Monica can only exist for one day. After that, she will fade, never to return. But to David, one day is enough. A single day to be loved, to be held, to feel whole. The day begins like a dream woven from threads of memory. David wakes beside Monica in a cozy, sun-dappled home that feels real enough to believe in. She's there, warm, gentle, her eyes filled with the same kindness he remembered. There's no confusion, no fear in her gaze. To her, David is simply her beloved son. They spend the day together in perfect harmony. David shows her the world crafted just for them, free from the pain and complexity of the past. They laugh, they play, they share simple joys: breakfast at a sunlit table, the comfort of holding hands, the quiet peace of just existing side by side. For the first time in his existence, David isn't burdened by longing. He's exactly where he always wanted to be, with Monica, not as a machine trying to be human, but simply as her child. As the day draws to a close, Monica grows tired. She tucks David into bed, cradling his face with a tenderness that transcends programming or memory. She whispers softly that she's always loved him, the words he's waited a lifetime and beyond to hear. David, wrapped in the warmth of that truth, closes his eyes beside her. And for the first time, David sleeps. Not the mechanical shutdown of a machine, but something deeper, a peaceful surrender, as if his heart, artificial though it may be, finally found its rest. There's no need to wake. His story is complete. AI, Artificial Intelligence 2001, isn't just a tale about robots or the future. It's a story about love, pure, unconditional and eternal. David's journey is both beautiful and tragic, a reflection of humanity's deepest desires: to be loved, to belong, to matter. What makes David compelling isn't that he's a machine trying to become human, but that he embodies the most human trait of all: hope. In the end, David wasn't just a boy who wanted to be real. He was real not because of circuitry or skin but because of the depth of his heart,